Before we get started, a few things. Anything that isn't about help is not about Norfolk Senior Strong. That's why we're here. We're about the help. That simple four-letter word. So if it's not about help, it's not about Norfolk Senior Strong. And when we're talking about help, it means two things. It means asking for help when you need it, and it means giving help when you're asked. So let's do that. Let's commit to do that. That's why we're here. Be the help. Be Norfolk Senior Strong. There will not be an election today. I stand before you, perhaps temporarily. If there's a person in the community that would like to take over this group, I'll yield to them instantly. I did not hear anything last week, so I'm guessing nobody's ready to do that, so I guess that falls to me. So here I am, and we will now continue. Again, make sure everything offered today here is about help and about service to seniors. And it is now my incredible pleasure to introduce to this group Anita Mecklenburg, the Vice Chair of the Norfolk Select Board, whom I had the privilege to meet just a few nights ago as I addressed the board. Anita, you have the floor. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you. Do I need this?
Yes.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Andrew says yes. Okay. I was just going to say good morning, and that doesn't go well. Good afternoon, everybody, and Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. And thank you to Glenn for bringing us together, because anytime the community comes together, good things, it's a good thing. So the opportunity to come together, I think, is a real benefit. I am Anita Mecklenburg. I'm a member of the Select Board, as is Kevin Roach right there, a colleague of mine, and I'm super excited to have him here. And for people who've heard me the last couple of days, I'm going to be a little redundant. I apologize by that, but so I'm just going to talk a little bit about a couple new learnings, thinking, and I promised Glenn I would kind of launch the meeting for you, and then I'm going to step out. My year-and-a-half-year-old grandson is in the other room, and if I go too long, he's going to take apart the library. So anyway, so I wanted to talk to you just briefly in the beginning about, I'm a retired educator, and so a while back now, they got together all sorts of research about what is the best things that help kids succeed in the schools, and what are the actual practices that we can do that is best for kids in the schools. And if they had asked me, which they didn't, I would have said it was the teacher's relationship with the students is the most important thing, because the best relationships I had, I was able to get the most learning from my students. But that wasn't it. What was the biggest result for kids in success in the classroom was collective teacher efficacy. So the more the teachers worked together, the better the kids did. So the more they worked together, the more improvement there was for their students. Separately, I read a study about our young people. And our young people are very, very anxious about climate change. The amount of anxiety is rising and rising and rising for our young folks. And when they did studies about that, what can we do to help kids manage their anxiety about, they said the kids need to do action, but what they found was if the kids were anxious about climate change and they went out and cleaned up a beach or started recycling in their home, it made no difference on their anxiety. What did make a difference on their anxiety was if they took action together. So if they took action with their peers and did things together, then they felt like things were happening, and that collective piece made a difference. So taking action together is good for the world, what your action is, but it's also good for our own selves and making things better. And so I think I'm forgetting my last point. So I feel like the group here, collecting and doing work, and whatever that work is, or whatever the direction of this group goes, and I'm going to back out and let the group come to its own identity of itself. I think that that collective piece is really powerful and really, really important. And so I think you need to decide as a group, like, what are your norms going to be? What are your goals going to be? What do you want for that to do? And then to segue onto that, and I'm sorry to Kevin because he's heard me say this story before, but we recently, Kevin and I both went to the Massachusetts Municipal Association conference in Boston, which is a whole bunch of elected people. And one of the speakers really gave me food for thought. So I'm going to share his food back with you, only through Anita's lens. So I was thinking about my grandmother, who grew up in rural North Dakota. And when she grew up, living was hard. If you were cold, you had to chop the wood. If you were hungry, you had to kill the chicken, right? You went to the bathroom out in the outhouse, and living was very hard. But life was very simple. Life was pretty much, you chop the wood, you stay warm, you kill the chicken, you have a full belly. Like, life was pretty simple in those times. Now me, for my life, living is much easier than it was for Grandma. If I'm cold, I can walk to the thermostat and go click, 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 and it's warmer. Actually, it's warmer automatically without me even touching the thermostat, right? If I'm hungry, I don't need to kill the chicken. I can zap something in the microwave in 30 seconds that would have taken Grandma hours and hours. And so for me, life is simple. Living is simple, but life is so much more complicated. It is not simple like it was for my grandmother. Like Comcast. Is that call from Comcast scam? Is it real? How does that work? What is real ID anyway? And should I give them my email on that sheet, or is that not safe to put my email on that sheet? And well, when is the last time my car was inspected? And it's just, I could go on and on. Can you drink wine anymore, or can't you drink wine? And climate change is real even for us who are over, let's just say, over 30. Is that safe to say? I'm pushing right up on you there, Glenn. So it's much, much more complicated. Oops. And what this speaker suggested that I went to is, he said that because of the complicated nature of life, which isn't anybody's fault, it's just part of modern society, he said that people, and he wasn't pointing fingers at one person, but people, all of us, are less and less curious. We don't seem to have the capacity for curiosity that we used to in my grandmother's time. We are less and less curious about the world and less curious about each other. So that curiosity is less and less. And he said at the same time, we are becoming increasingly addicted to outrage. And so that fills a short-term need for us, and so we have this complicated combination of less curiosity and addicted to outrage. And so, in an interest of kind of thinking about this group, and like I say, I'm just facilitating, I'm not trying to give you a direction, well, a little tiny bit of a direction, but I'm gonna ask you, in the schools, we do something called Turn and Talk. I know you're gonna love this. But I'm gonna ask you to think about something and then turn and talk to your neighbor. And one of the things about Turn and Talk is you wanna share the talking space, and I'm only gonna give you like 2 minutes to talk. But also, if you turn to your partner and you notice that somebody in the group isn't included in the Turn and Talk, would you just sort of scoop them in so everybody participates? So I want you to think about a group, or a team, or a knitting club, or a bowling league, or a strategic planning committee, some kind of organization that was, or group, or gathering that was terrible, that was awful, that really didn't make you feel good. And I want you to think about that for just a second. Something you participated in was not good.
In this town?
No, any time in your whole life, in the 30 years that you've been here. I'm kidding, because I'm only like 31 or 2. So think about that for a minute. And then I'm going to ask you if it feels safe and it feels okay to turn and talk and tell your neighbor what that was causing you to feel like that was your worst team or group ever. And then please scoop in people who don't, if it's not 2s or 3s, it doesn't matter.
That's too many years to think about. Now our groups are more online or whatever. It's not face to face.
All right, I'm going to bring us back together. And then I'm going to change the topic. I'm going to ask you to think about the best time you had where you just like felt like your team or your group, the very, very best time. And so take a minute to think about that. And then I'm going to have you turn and talk again, and I want you to try to identify what made that good, what made that team really good and feel really good. So go ahead, I'm going to give you another 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Turn it, baby. She said, turn and talk. Let's go. Let's go.
That was a no-brainer. I had 20 years ago. Oh, yeah, sure.
Hi. So I'm going to bring you back. And so part of the job of this group, because you're a brand new group, is to think of what norms do you want to be? What do you want to do as a group? And most norms start with be respectful, but I would also encourage you to be curious and to be aware of outrage and and that was where I was going to leave you. The last thing I wanted to share is that if at a future meeting, if you wanted to invite me, the governor talked about, we have, for a while now, we've had green cities that are green, and we just learned from our tree warden that he's going to put us up, we're going to be Tree City USA. But the governor is really talking about, too, how do we have age-friendly cities? And what do we do to be an age-friendly city? And I think that that's something I would need collaborative input from this group to say, so what is an age-friendly city, and what does that mean in a realistic way, not in a, oh, well, we don't have to, there has to be an element of reality, but in terms of the needs of this population, certainly it would be easier to go into that work if I had really tangible anecdotes from the group or needs from the group of how, if the governor's asking us to say, what do we need to do to be age-friendly, I'd like to say in Norfolk, it means this. And so at a future meeting, after things are going, I would love to come and just talk about what are some things in Norfolk or in Massachusetts that could make this more age-friendly, because I think that's a large part of our population, and I think that's, I don't think it's aspirational. I think that there are things that we could do that make us more effective in that capacity. So for a future meeting, I'd like to do that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
Using your over 30.
Yes. Ha!
Let's use 60 or something.
Okay, we're all over 60.
Percent population of Norfolk that is. of a
It was
certain
20,
age.
in 2020, it was 20% of the population. By 2030, it's going to be 30%.
So-
I'm so glad Kevin is
Over
here.
60,
Oh, 60.
yes.
Over 60.
So a fifth to a third.
An important piece. Even if it was an eighth, it's an important piece. But two-fifths, right. So I think that, oops, I'm done.
Oh, that was good.
I mean,
Battery died on it. We can still.
So, for a future meeting, I think that's something to think about, like, what are realistic things what would be, if you could create an age-friendly city, what would it have, what wouldn't it have? What are some things, and, I used to kid with, Matt Hafner, who was our facilities director. I worked at HL of Day, and I worked at, Freeman Kennedy, and we used to tease about the tunnel that he was gonna dig between the schools. I had this total great idea, like O'Hare Airport, where you go down in the tunnel and it has lights and music, and you could just get on the moving sidewalk over. Not those kind of ideas. Realistic things, like what does an age-friendly city have? And I'd like to hear from this group to know what that means, because I know maybe what it might mean to me, and it can't mean underground tunnels with lights, even though that's kind of fun to think about. But what does that mean? And I would love to hear from this group about some ideas that way.
I'm just curious, who, is this group being organized as a conduit to the mayor? Or are we
No.
independent just?
You are an-
ourselves?
and I'm a visitor?
It's going to be reported to anyone?
No. I'm a visitor.
I will speak to that. I will answer that question after Anita is finished. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's an excellent question, and it's a beautiful color. So thank you very much. I hope that's what you were thinking about.
Let us all thank,
It's dead.
No.
on again, let us all give Anita a big hand. To speak to us. Anita, we thank you for coming today.
Yes.
I had intended to hand out an agenda. It's too much work, I'm exhausted, so I'm just going to go through it bit by bit by bit, if that's okay. First, we're going to do acknowledgements. Seniors. How many seniors do we have today? Yay, okay, seniors, you get the first acknowledgement. Thank you for coming today. If you were not here, I would go home today. So here you are, and here we are. Thank you very much to seniors. There are two people in this room who are exceedingly close to me. Actually, there's four of them. I'm not going to name them. They know who they are. If they had not supported me, my idea would now be a scrap of paper in a trash can. Because of them, here we are. They know who they are. Thank you. Norfolk Community Facebook page, if you're listening, thank you, because our group was given birth inside your page. Thank you for that. Thank you. Now we have our own Facebook page. I'm feeling my way through Facebook. Bear with me as I do so. Melissa Mayo. Where is Melissa Mayo? Everyone, this is Melissa Mayo. Melissa Mayo. When I spoke to her about my idea, within 5 minutes, Melissa designed a color flyer that you saw out there, and she designed a postcard that I'm going to hand out to you today. In fact, she's going to hand them out right now. in 5 minutes, without being asked to do it, without any offer of payment, without any begging, without any pleading. She delivered that to my desk in 5 minutes. This woman is extraordinary. And she is an example of what I'm trying to do. Come together, let's help each other. Let's share our knowledge, let's share our skills, let's come together. Let's take all the tools that are bottled inside of us and bring those to help each other. Melissa, thank you very much. You're welcome. There are also friends of Melissa Mayo who are not in this room. We thank them too because they were involved in getting some sweets. A community baker, Stacy, I'm not allowed to mention her business or her last name. Thank you, Stacy. Town representatives, we thank Anita Mecklenburg for joining us today. Kevin Roach is in the audience today. Kevin Roach is on the select board. And we also thank NCTV for coming today. Okay, a few things about me. I already told you, I'm 70 years old, lived in Norfolk for 30 years. I have cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. Those who know me will tell you that I'm a fighter. I will never shy away from fighting for people I care about and for causes I care about. I care about every single person in this room. I care about our community. I care about our safety. I care about our security. I care about our comfort. I am a deeply caring person. And there's a couple in this group who didn't like that. They're now gone from this group. Draw your own conclusions. I wrote the security plan for the Norfolk Public Schools, the very first physical security plan to keep our kids safe. And you know I did that? Because I cared. I cared then and I care now, and that's why I'm here. I've served successive terms on the trustee board of this public library. I love this library. This library is what I would call the diamond of Norfolk. I've long dreamed of a day when seniors would have a safe space for us to come together. We can talk to each other openly and freely about what are our concerns about senior life? What do we think about each day? What worries us? How do we want to see our senior lives? And most importantly, what is it inside each of us that we can bring around the table in a monthly discussion to exchange about what we're good at? And why do I say that? I say that because I've worked at many startup companies, and the first thing that every successful startup company does, with however many people there are, there might be 2, there might be 4, they get around a table and they each say what they're good at, so that every other person around that table knows exactly what the collective power of the team is. We're going to do that in a later meeting in this group, but I want you to know that's the foundational concept for forming a group that can be effective, okay? So we're going to use that concept. We're going to bring our unique skills, talents, and abilities together so that we can help each other solve problems. Because here we are standing today as individuals, right? And we're all got tons of skills. Kevin's got his skills. I've got my skills. Anita has her skills. We all have our skills, right? I ask you now to tell me, do we have a forum to share those? Somebody answer the question. I don't know. Do we? I didn't hear an answer. The answer is no. There is no forum in Norfolk, nor is there forum in any other town that I'm aware of in this entire state, let alone New England, where seniors regularly come together to talk for just an hour about what they're worried about and how they can help solve each other's problems and bring their tools, their collective tools around the table. Kevin and his fellow members of the select board, when they sit in select board meetings, their minds are always running. They're thinking about how to solve problems, and they are leveraging, I'm not promoting the select board, I'm saying that they are leveraging the power of their minds to come together and serve the citizens of the town. And what I'm proposing in Norfolk Senior Strong is we can do the exact same thing. The only thing that is required is the will to do it. You gotta have the will. If there's no will, it's impossible to do. And then the effort has to come forth. If you have the will and the effort, it will happen. It will happen. How many have ever participated in a group that died like a month after? I've been in those groups. Anybody else? Right. Has anybody ever been in a community group that survived more than a few months? Okay, I see a couple of hands. That's good. Okay, good. That's good. Norfolk Senior Strong is unlike any other community group. There is no other group that is doing right now what I'm sharing with you today. It does not exist. If you can bring it to me and show me that it exists, show me, because I want to know. It's not out there, okay? It is not out there. Our group is open to everybody, just like we talked about, just like on our webpage. Seniors, senior allies, friends of seniors, interested people in the community. This is open, right? Anybody can participate in Norfolk Senior Strong. You don't have to be old like me, right? Anybody, right? Ideas don't need permission. And they don't respect age, and they don't respect time. An idea is an idea. So we're going to come together to share ideas. That's what I'm proposing. That's what I'm trying to sell to you today, and I'm hoping that you're going to buy it, okay? Now, groups, if they're going to be effective, there needs to be effort to make it happen, right? I can't make this group survive, especially now, and I'm not going to tell you why I can't. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to lead this group. It might be a short time, it might be a long time, it might be no time, I don't know. But what I will tell you is I'm going to give it my all to make this group work. It will only work if people, A, come to it, and B, if they actively participate. I can't do it alone. It is impossible. No one single person can do it. Now, we all have various levels of skill, right? Some of us, have a cane, like me. Some of us have a hard time getting around. Some of us have schedules that are burdened. Kevin runs a business. Kevin's an elected official. He's a busy guy, right? Melissa's official in town. She's a busy person. She's a mom, right? We all have things that we do, right? But there's many things that we do. There's a few things we can't do, but we all can do something. That's the idea that I'm selling to you today. We can all do something. So let's do that. Right now, nobody can say where this group is going. I don't know where this group is going. Like Anita shared with you, this group is going to decide where it goes. I'm an innovator. Does anybody know what happens in business and industry with innovators? What do innovators do? They show up, they help invent something, and then what do? Does anybody know?
Take a pull through.
I didn't hear it.
Take a risk.
Speak up.
They risk. They take a big risk.
Right.
They put it out there and take a
Good
risk.
point. That's an excellent point. They take big risks. Who's taking a risk today? I'll raise my hand. I'm taking a risk today. I put 180 hours into making this meeting happen today. If this group dies, every one of those hours is in the trash, okay? I don't want this group to die. I want this group to live, okay? And that was a very good point, and I thank you for sharing that. In this group, figure out what needs to be done and do it. Don't ask for permission. The only thing this group is not allowed to do, and I will declare this by fiat, is you may not talk to the press. Only I may talk to the press. So don't go talking to the Attleboro Sun-Chronicle representing this group. Only I do that group, unless and until somebody raises their hand and says, Glenn, I would like to be a press media contact for you, and then that will happen. So don't go talking to the press. Anything else you can do, if you can do it, take the action. You don't need permission to do it. Chip in if you can. Do what you feel is needed. Anyone who thinks that seniors are too old, too weak, or too disinterested to make change in their life are absolutely wrong. I declare it right now, they are wrong. And this group will prove that they are wrong. This group will prove it. If you can give help, give it. If you need help, ask for it. Send an email, make a phone call, call a state legislator, talk to a town official, talk to a town board, show up to their meetings. An elected official in town told me that it could be important that there be additional representation from people from Norfolk at meetings. Look up the agendas. They're all online. It's all out there to have. Find an agenda that's important to you, show up, and if there's a public comment period for that meeting, not every meeting has them, but if it's there, show up and say something. Maybe it's only a minute. Maybe it's only 30 seconds. But say what is on your mind. Because if our town boards, elected officials and boards don't know what's important to us, are they supposed to pull that out of the sky and figure it out? It's impossible. And I know there's at least one person in this room that would back me up on that. It is absolutely impossible for them to divine what is on our minds. We must tell them. We must tell them. And if we don't, shame on us for not telling them, right? No word or deed that supports seniors and seeks to help seniors could possibly be wrong. It cannot be wrong, right? Anything that doesn't seek to help seniors, different story on that. Don't allow this meeting to become a bitch session or complaining, pardon the language. Don't let people complain, because that's not what we're about. The way I launch this group is about the help. It's not a forum to complain, right? We might say that there's things that we don't like as seniors. There are many things I don't like as a senior, but I'll talk about them, but I'm not going to complain about them. I'll hold them up and say, this is what they are, right? And then I might ask Melissa, or I might ask Kevin, or I might ask Tom, what do you think about this? And then we'll start a dialogue. That's what we're looking to do. Every successful thing in this world comes from innovation. Everything that's successful. This meeting is an innovation today. That's how I'm selling this meeting to you, is an innovation. And if we want to make it work, we can. And if we do our job right, the Senior Center in Rentham, the Senior Center in Millis, the Senior Center in Franklin are going to call me or call one of you. They're going to say, how did you do it? How did you in Norfolk manage to do this? And if that happens, I'll be one of the happiest guys on earth. And I can tell you right now, if you do this right, it will happen. People are going to want to know how we did it. They're going to want to know the model. And of course, we'll share with them, right? We're not going to make money off this. We'll openly share our model. And if they do that, we will know that we will then have been successful, right? Okay, so now I'm done talking because I'm tired. And now I'm going to turn the meeting over to the group. And what I suggest is like each person stand or sit, whatever's most comfortable for you, and just share who you are, what brought you here, and what would you like to accomplish in future participation in Norfolk Senior Strong. The floor is now open. Whoever wishes to share, share. A scribe will take notes. Remember, comments are not attributed to any person. It's just information. So we're not talking about people, right? We're not talking about connecting comments to people, okay? Time to share. Who's going to be first? I'll go first. Glenn Hill, 70 years old, senior, sick, senior, right? What I'm trying to do is exactly as I shared with you. I want to bring seniors together in a recurring forum so they can help each other. Now, next.
Hi, I'm Peter Diamond. I lived in Norfolk for 60 years, grown up here, been here my whole life. I work for the town, I'm the electrical inspector, and one of my goals to help the town is more affordable housing. Somehow, some way, I'd like to find more affordable housing for each and every one that needs a place to live.
Peter, thank you for sharing that.
I'm John Davies. Excuse me. I live on Tucker Road. Lived in town for 35 years.
Close.
Close. That's close. When I worked, I was an engineer. I retired 5 years ago, and I'm loving it. Best job I ever had. And originally, I was most interested in doing what needed to be done so that I didn't have to pay more taxes or get my property taxes increased. And I thought that as a group, we had a great voice there. And whether or not it was to do with some of the things that we organized and Glenn organized, to get that vote not passed, I thought was a great thing. I'd like to see things like that continue. That's it.
Thank you, John. Full disclosure, John is my neighbor. We've known each other for 30 years.
Thank you. 30 years? Yes, 30 years.
Would someone else like to share? Please.
Tony Ferguson, oldest dad. I'm 68. Just trying to follow her dream of bringing this to the town. If there's anything I can do to help, I'm glad to be here. I actually live in Millis. So what I learned here, I might be able to take to another town. So.
You see, it already worked. It already worked. Thank you. We've been in this room less than an hour, and it's already spread to Millis. I rest my case. Thank you.
Do you want me to expand on that?
Melissa, please.
This dream that my dad knows about. So I'm Melissa Mayo. I'm on the planning board in Norfolk, and I was on the master plan steering committee. And we had a lot of seniors show up to the community meetings. And what I heard from most of the folks that showed up was that they feel really out of the loop. A lot of information is shared on social media, and it's hard to find when it's buried in comments. Also, a lot of information comes from the school email to the parents, which doesn't go to anybody that doesn't have young children in school. And so that's a lot of communication that's also not getting to the senior community. And I think I've mentioned that this bothered me a lot. Certainly talked to my dad about it. I know I've talked to Kevin about this. Kevin Roach over here, he listens to all my crazy ideas and my love for the seniors. And Glenn's listened to me. And so anybody who would listen, basically, so we need to solve this problem. It's not fair for the seniors that they feel out of the loop. They shouldn't be out of the loop. And these are the people that have built this town to be the great town that it is, that for people like me that moved here 7 years ago to raise my family. And so I really wanted to solve the problem, didn't know how. I worked with the assistant town administrator to get the first version of the newsletter out. That was a quarterly newsletter, and it was just kind of a V1, and she planned to iterate on it from there. So I'll follow up on that. She's no longer with the town. So I don't know where that will go, but I'm happy to volunteer. Kevin, Mr. Roach on the select board if you need some help. Just to make sure that we get some communication, at least for now, just even the biggest things. Like we had the school expansion vote that was mentioned, and there's a lot of things that go on in town that I think everyone should be aware of, and everyone should know. You don't necessarily want to come to all the planning board meetings. Donna does; she's amazing. She can tell you anything about any of them. They're long. They're 3.5-hour meetings. Mr. Diamond's there a lot of times too. And he makes our meetings better because his perspective as the elected mayor, never mind being in town.
He gets special dispensation.
Yeah.
He is.
Might be an emergency call. Yeah. And so, anyway, so the dream my dad was talking about is that I kept saying I need to do something for the seniors, and like Mr. Diamond, I constantly think about affordable housing, and not necessarily the affordable housing that is mandated by the state, because it's very specific, and you have to have, a certain amount of money in retirement. If you're over that, then you can't get an affordable home in Norfolk. And so I just thought, that's great, it works for some people, but we need to have just something that doesn't have strings attached as well for people to be able to downsize. Or accessory dwelling units. We're working on something on that on the planning board now that Mr. Diamond's been helping on as well. And when all these people come to our meetings, which again, I know everybody can't do, we have 20-something boards and committees in the town every month. Not everybody can commit to 3-hour meetings, most nights. But when we do have people from the town come to our meetings, or even just call me and say, hey, can we have coffee? I'm happy to do that when I have time to just get feedback, even if you can't make it to a 3-hour, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. meeting, and just give me feedback about what you need from the senior community. If you have ideas for affordable housing, different things like that, I'm always welcome to listen. And I would say people that come to our meetings definitely make our proposals better for the board. And I think, Mr. Diamond, would you say we listen to you and we welcome you?
Yes.
Thank you. So feel free to come to any of our meetings. I think we all feel this way.
Okay, we'll continue. Next.
I can follow up on that. My name is Ann Brinkerhoff. I'm 65. I live on North Street. I've lived here for 7 years. I came to this group for 2 main reasons. One, because I'm kind of a hermit and I don't do things much. I'm an introvert, so I thought, okay, I'm going to force myself to get with a group of people. So I did. The other thing is I came because I wanted to see if this is going to be a politically oriented group where we're going to be discussing national politics. And if that's the case, I have no interest.
Would you like me to address that question? Is it okay with the group if I address
Can I just say one other thing very quickly, just before I lose the thread? Town meetings, I can't drive at night because I can't see. And I wondered if it would be possible for there to be a van or people volunteer to drive to pick up seniors who can't drive at night.
And if I could stop you right there,
Yes.
Please see me after the meeting. I have many ideas about that, and I would like to discuss them with you and with the group. I have many, many ideas to solve that exact problem. And I want to thank you for bringing that question up because it raises a very important analog to why we are here.
Yeah.
We are here to make change. We are here so that senior voices and faces are seen, heard, and counted. And when I say counted, that means counted at town meeting. And we, through this group, it might be one of us, might be all of us, we're going to figure out how to get seniors to town meeting. We're going to figure that out. And you know what? We will solve that problem. I guarantee you, I guarantee this group, and I want you to hold me to it, we will solve that problem. We will solve that problem. And thank you. Thank you. And now I want to, if it's okay with the group, I want to address Ann's question about politics. This group was not conceived to have anything to do with politics, right? This is not a political discussion group. The first person that gets up and argues a political point, I'm out of here. I'm sick, I don't have time for it. I won't have anything to do with it. I will vanish instantly, and then the group can do whatever they want. We will not do that while I run this group. That will not happen, right? We're not going to do that. That said, Kevin gave you the statistic. He told you how many seniors are going to be in this town. What does that tell you? What does that tell us? It tells us that we are a force. So we are going to be talking about local issues, especially as it relates to seniors. We're going to be talking about that, right? And if nobody talks about it, I'm going to start the discussion and make people talk about it. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to raise those issues. And if those issues have a potential solution through town government, town meeting, we're going to move forward on those. We're going to move forward with that.
Because can I ask, Kevin, is 30% a high number of elders in a town?
It's 30%.
Was that? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it average, it might be, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I don't know the percentages.
You know, I was at the MMA convention a couple weeks ago, and I was talking there with somebody about the seniors and everything, and they said, they were telling me about the percentage that in Norfolk is going to be 30% by 2030, so.
Yeah, doesn't seem high, but I don't know.
Kevin, thank you for that. I want to finish up on Ann's question, okay? So as I explained to this group, if it's complaining about politics or debate, I'm gone. I won't have anything to do with it, and I don't care what the group does. I will vanish. You'll never see me again. That said, we are going to talk about issues that are important to seniors, that are important to us collectively. And if there's a place for us to leverage our voice and make our voice heard, we're doing that. We are going there. I'm not telling anybody that they have to go there. I'm telling you that that's where I'm going to lead you. You don't have to follow me if you don't want to. But that's where we're going. So, Ann, thank you for that. That was a very good question and an essential question. I've seen a lot of groups in this town that they kind of dive into political debates, and you know how long they last? One meeting, and then they're dead. That will not happen in this group. I've put in too much in this group to let that happen. That will not happen. I guarantee it. I also guarantee that I will never, ever waste your time. I will not waste your time. There are many other community groups that have. There are community settings that do. I will not do that. I will not do that. Let's continue. Who wants to stand up and share who they are, why they are here, and what do they wish to accomplish?
I wasn't going to stand up because nobody.
You don't have to stand up. I'm sitting down.
I'm Lynn Benton. I've been in Norfolk since 1976. And my husband has Parkinson's, and he's in his third stage from Vietnam. So we're dealing with that. I've been a financial executive for Fortune 500 companies since 1969. So we've participated in Girl Scouts for 13 years. We've tried to do different things to help the community. To me, affordable housing is not to downsize, but to be able to afford to live where I bought in 76. We looked at downsizing 10 years ago. We are fortunate, we have almost a couple acres on Island Lake. We love the nature. So we're all about protecting and saving nature. And we just love that. And that's, but right now, and I'm not working this as an issue today at all, but the property taxes are 40% of what I pay for a house of property. So I do have a concern, and I do want to be able to find out how to help. Not, you know, we said 30% is seniors. What's the next significant group? You know, if we were to break down our demographics, what's the next percent group? Is it the people with children? What is it? Because how is that being served? So I don't want to just say how are the seniors being served, but are we serving our community as we look at the demographics? Because, you know, honestly, my husband and I have decided to stay until we die. And I'd like to be able to afford it. So that's why I'm here. I'd like to be able to help whatever I can, and I want to be able to learn.
Thank you very much. I just want the group, did anybody really hear what was said? One of the things that I heard was kind of a little bit of an interest of an overview in the entire community. That is a very powerful point. When you leave today, remember that. Remember that. Good point. Thank you. Excellent. Next. Who's next? Who would like to share?
I'll go next. I'm Maureen. Unfortunately, I've only lived in Norfolk for almost 4 years. I was in Medway for almost 40 years before coming here, and a set of unfortunate circumstances brought me to Norfolk. I have grandchildren in the school system now. The thing I've noticed about Norfolk, I go to the senior center a lot and do like classes in the morning there, is I feel like the information that doesn't get to the seniors, because a lot of them are not on, you know, social media. They don't know how to use it, or they don't want to. And I think even simple things like road closures or water main breaks that we've had in the town, some of them weren't even aware that those things are happening. And, you know, a lot of them don't drive, so they can't come to the meetings at night, or don't want to go out, even if they are driving, don't want to go out at night, so they don't have any way to access the information. And I often thought that, you know, it should be some way of getting the whole town-wide information to these people on a weekly or maybe even a monthly basis. I know the senior center does a newsletter, but it's only what's going on in the senior center itself, not what's going on in the town. And there is a little town newspaper, but it always seems to come back after something has happened, so the information is old, it's not current. So I kind of feel like that maybe addressing how do we get information to these people who don't drive anymore, or can't go out at night, or don't have somebody in the town that can access information for them and can't get it through social media. I feel like sometimes when I go to the classes, I have to give them information like, do you know that the street is closed and you can't go back that way, or tomorrow it's going to be closed? Like when they did 115 about a couple of months ago, a lot of them didn't even know that was going to be closed for the whole week, because they had no way of accessing that information. So anything like that I think would be helpful, whether it's something that can just be done through a group, or I mean, some way of getting information to them, because I felt bad that a lot of them didn't even know that they couldn't get back to it. And they had people who live like at River's Edge didn't know that they couldn't get out to 115. So they had to find other ways of getting around and stuff. So I enjoy Norfolk. I think it's a nice little town. I am a senior. I retired from teaching. I was a teacher for 25 years, so I know that sometimes it's tough for people to take on new things. And to make changes. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe this group will kind of help with a little bit of change.
I want to thank you for that comment. Did everybody hear what was said? Did everybody hear what was said? Information, information. If we don't have information, we can't make good decisions, right? So what might this group do with that great comment that was just offered? We're going to take that, right? And at a future meeting, we're going to go around a room and we're going to come up with ideas on how to address that. Now, do we have all the best ideas in the world? No, I don't. Nobody does. But do we have ideas? How many people in the room think we have ideas? I think we have ideas. I have 5 ideas right now. Okay, so what are we going to do with that? We're going to take it to our town leaders. We will take that to our town leaders and we will say, this group has spoken, and this is what we see, this is the effect on us, and here are some ideas that we have to solve it, and then we will work together, right? The town leaders, whatever resources we need to work with to make exactly that kind of change. Thank you for that comment. That was an excellent comment. Thank you. Who's like to share next? By the way, this group is doing really good. I'm proud of you. Who's next? Peter.
Another event to go.
Peter, the floor is yours. Oh, now he's announcing he's leaving. Peter, don't go.
I just got to get my coat.
Okay, I'm Kevin Roach. I'm the owner of Norfolk Auto. I've lived in town all my life. Norfolk Auto's been there 46 years. I'm the selectman. I'm in the Grange. I'm in the Lions. I do a lot of different things to help the Lions shows a lot of things to help seniors as well. Last night, we moved an elderly person from the second floor down to the first floor. 8 Lions went over there in 1 hour. We moved the whole apartment. And so if anyone needs anything from the Lions or anything, you can go on the Lions page and request assistance, and they're more than glad to help you with any of your needs. We shovel some elderly people's driveways, we mow some lawns, we do all sorts of things to help out. And one of the reasons I became a selectman is because the taxes were going through the roof. And one of the goals that I might try to achieve, that it might not be possible, is I would like to see it if when elderly people that lived in town 30 or 35 years get to the point of being 65 or 70, their taxes get capped there and don't go up any higher. That is something I'd like to see happen. I'm not sure if it's possible to make it happen. But I know I can't, taxes will never go down. I'd definitely like to slow the increase of them going up and try to make things more, hold people more accountable and get rid of waste and spending and all sorts of other things. But that,
Love this, man.
yeah.
So, group, just hang on 1 second. I just want to shake Peter Diamond's hand.
Peter,
Okay, so reach out to him. Tell him, okay?
thank you.
Thank you, Peter, very much. I want to amplify what Kevin just said. Did anybody pick up the idea from Kevin as Kevin was talking? Kevin had an idea. Kevin had an idea. Did anybody have to give Kevin permission for that idea? No. He came up with it on his own. It went through his head, boom, I got an idea. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about ideas. Ideas don't need permission. Ideas don't need any money. Ideas don't need any effort. All they need is the idea. All they need is the idea. That is what we're talking about. Kevin, thank you. Next. Who would like to share? Please.
My name is Jay Kenny. I was born in this town, 59. Went in the Air Force at the age of 17, and I disappeared for 40 years. And I came back in 2018. So I lived in Colorado for almost 30 years, so that's kind of home still. But this is home, always has been. The Patriots brought me back, hired me to work for them, and so I worked for them for a year back in 2018. And my expertise is I'm a delivery person. I deliver people, food, and packages. So I can get people from point A to point B very well. Been doing it for a long time. My purpose to come to this meeting, I'm also a member of the Friends of the Elderly on the board. My idea here is to get ideas from these guys, you people, and bring it to the board at the Friends of the Elderly. A lot of people don't know about the Friends. It's an unknown group, and they provide some really good services to senior citizens in the area. And so it's something that I would like to try and coordinate and be the mediator, as well as with the Council on Aging. So that's my purpose here today, is to be the go-between, so to speak, to utilize these ideas that are come up from everybody and propose them, also have them bring ideas to us and see what can happen and have a good communication between them all. So that's the purpose here today.
Jay, thank you very much for sharing that. Again, I'm going to put out the group. Was everybody listening to what Jay said? Did everybody pick up what he said? Jay and I, by the way, we know each other. We had a very long phone conversation a couple of weeks ago. We actually share a very common background because we both worked in national defense, so we know what the hell we're talking about, don't we, Jay? Jay talked about a connection. He talked about the connection to the Friends of the Elderly. Now, a half an hour ago, we already infected the town of Millis. We've got a connection to the town of Millis. That's done. Now we've got a connection to the Friends of the Elderly. This is what I'm talking about. Let's make the connections. Let's bring the help. Let's get things
He already solved the problem. He said they have a problem at night getting to the town meetings and everything.
Yeah.
He says he's perfect getting people A to B.
Yep.
There's a problem solved to get the seniors to the town meetings.
So let's see. Let me just look at my iPhone a second. Let me just...
see yellow.
We've been in this room an hour. We've been in this room 1 hour. We're already connected to Millis. We already got an idea for that. We already got a solution there. We already got a connection of Friends of the Elderly. Have we not already, inside of 60 minutes, accomplished more in this meeting than what, the last 6 months in any convocation of seniors in this town? Maybe senior center, I don't know. We've done 3 things. We've been here an hour, just an hour. There's the power in what we're talking about. Next, who would like to share? Jay, thank you for that. Tom.
Which his suggestion leads to mine. By the way, I've lived in Norfolk since '85. Before that, God help us, I lived in Washington, D.C. and ran a nonprofit. My question is, what relationship do you foresee with the Council on Aging and the Senior Center? And have you reached to them yet, or do you plan on? And do you think it's a good idea?
Tom, fair question, great question. Is it okay if I answer that right now? The answer is yes. In fact, I had a meeting scheduled with Karen Edwards of the Senior Center, but unfortunately Mother Nature snowed on us the other day, so we couldn't do our meeting. We're scheduled to meet next week, and I already have a notebook full of ideas of how to synergize our group with the power of the Senior Center and the Council on Aging and what Jay talked about with the Friends of the Elderly, and bring the collective power of these groups all together, because they're each very good at what they do, right? But are we working together? Maybe, maybe not. After my meeting with Karen Edwards, we will be working together. I've got the ideas, I'm taking it to her. I'm taking them to the Senior Center. And I already have 10 ideas for how to bring seniors together inside the aegis of the Senior Center to do things that the Senior Center is not doing right now. Granted, Senior Center is doing a great job, right? What did I talk about? Ideas. Kevin came up with ideas. Jay came up with ideas. Ann came up with ideas. It's about ideas. So the answer to your question is yes. Yes.
Is the Friends of the Elderly a local
Yes.
organization?
Norfolk Friends of the Elderly, yes.
So there is a Friends, is that another one?
That's it.
Crane?
FOE, yeah, Bill Crane.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, he's chairman of it.
Okay, we're going to need to pick up the pace because we're already an hour in and we're not done with our first round of sharing. There's going to be a second round of sharing. I want to make sure we get there, okay? I don't want anybody to get bored and I don't want anybody to get tired, so let's pick up the pace. Tom, did you want to share anything else?
No.
Full disclosure, Tom is married to Jill. Jill is my very good friend and colleague from Northeastern University, whom I adore and I've worked with for years.
She wanted to come, but she had too many chores today.
The moral of the story is it is a very small world. It's a very small world. Who would like to share next? Any more sharing about who you are, what brought you here today, and what you might like to accomplish? Everybody good? Does everybody feel comfortable if they wanted to share, that they had a chance to share? Okay. I know I can be a little pushy, but that's how I got a communication switch installed in the tail of Air Force One because I was pushy. That's how I got that done.
I didn't hear that sentence.
That's how I got a communications device installed in the rear end of Ronald Reagan's 707 because I was pushy. That's how I got it done. I was pushy. Okay? I can be a pushy person, but I'm a nice pushy person. Are we done with our first round of sharing? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. The second round of sharing and our final round of sharing today, which is a little bit like what Anita talked about when she talked about turn and talk. Each of us is going to share, if you will, please, your top 2 concerns about senior life. It doesn't have to be particular to Norfolk. It would be good if it was particular to Norfolk because here we are, we're in Norfolk, right? So if we can go around the room and just share our top 2 concerns, and to make it easy for you, I'll start, right? Leader's got to start. All right, Glen Hill, everybody knows who I am. My top 2 concerns is that I'm able to financially remain in my home for as long as I can, and that I be able to do so safely and securely. Those are my top 2 concerns. And now, the floor is open for each person, if they like, to share their top 2 concerns. And if you go over into 3 or 4 concerns, that's okay. Let's go.
Wait, I'll go because mine are the same. I don't know if I can, I would like to be able to stay in my house until I die. I don't know if I will be able to And if I do have to move to an assisted living type place, I'm just like, I have no idea, I would not, well, I'd be crushed, and also, in a way, but also I wouldn't even know how to do that. You know, so that's
That's what our senior center is all about, helping you with that.
helping find assisted
Absolutely.
living places.
Absolutely.
And what I could afford and all
Absolutely.
that. And like, they have a, really.
So, Ann, may I just ask a reflective question? Would it be fair to say that there is some apprehension maybe in how you feel about that? Because that's what I was detecting. And I want to build on what Ann said. I have that same apprehension, okay? I'm not angry about it, but I'm apprehensive about it, okay? And I'll share that openly with you. And just so that everybody knows, I'm one of the most open people you will ever know in your life. If you want to know something about me, ask me. I will tell you. I will tell you. I won't tell you any secrets about how I do what I do, but I'll probably answer your question. And thank you for that. Who's next? Who would like to share next? Jay?
A lot of the concerns I see, people don't understand what the purpose is of our Council on Aging and what their function is. And it's to assist people in our age group, which is 65 and older, 55 and older, with any needs, any concerns. Emergency access. My first thought was emergency access to your home by paramedics, fire, whoever might need to get into your home for sudden urgent care for you. How do they do that? Friends of the Elderly has tried to provide a solution to that with a lockbox.
Yes.
For the home, for people to have on the outside of their home. Fire department has access to it. They're the only ones that have access to it. So that's the kind of thing that people don't understand. The Council on Aging, Friends of the Elderly, we have that ability to provide those answers and concern alleviations, we hope, you know.
That's a good question. I mean, how do we contact you? I mean, where are you? Where's your...
You just go to the Council on Aging.
Go to it, you mean on Facebook?
You can go to Medway branch, you know where it's at?
Oh, it's in the seniors.
Yeah, that's the Council on Aging.
Oh, it's the same thing?
Yeah,
No.
right.
Okay.
It's called the Norfolk Council on Aging, so if you ever see NCOA, that is the senior center, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, just to alleviate that.
Can I ask a question about the lock boxes? There was a person at the senior center one day, and she's living by herself, and she has some memory issues, and we tried to convince her to get a lock box because we had a concern one day that we couldn't find her, and we wasn't sure what had happened, but she was told it was $350, and she can't afford that. Is there a program that
That is
covers?
the Friends of the Elderly. We have the ability to offset that cost, and for example, if it is $250, $350, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be you got to pay that money up front. Even if it's $20 can be put towards it or whatever, the Friends has the ability to work with the people, whether they just pay it off completely if they don't have the finances available or something. That's where the Friends comes in, and they can talk,
Can I help her with that?
talk to the board and see if that's something we can do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, if the group will allow me, I want to tag on to what Jay said. Did anyone detect the idea from Jay? Jay had an idea. His idea was the Knox box. I have a Knox box on my house. Do you know why? If I fall down the stairs and I'm alone and I need help, I want the rescue to be able to get in my house.
Without breaking down the door.
Without breaking, Kevin, thank you for that, buddy. Without breaking down the door. It's an ultra-secure little box on the side of your house that a nice person from the fire department will come and mount on your house. It has a special key, only the fire department can get into it, no one else can get into it. That way, they can just enter your house, rescue you, get you off to Milford or wherever they need to take you with love and care. If you are elderly and you don't have a Knox box on your house, get in touch, Jay, through Council on Aging, through the Senior Center, and make it happen. It'll be one of the best things you can do for your safety and security. Take it from me, I'm 40 years in safety and security, I know what I'm talking about. Jay, thank you for that idea. Yet another idea, and we've only been in this room less than 2 hours. Next, who's sharing next?
Another idea that I had got from my ex-wife's grandmother, they used to do it in Rentham. They had I guess the sheriff's department does it out of Dedham, but every morning they'll call your house at 8:30.
Yes.
If you don't answer, and actually, the other day I heard it on the scanner, somebody didn't answer the phone, they sent the police there to make sure. The person lived at the senior center, so they have a master set of keys, so they're able to get in, and she said, oh, I forgot to call. I forgot to turn my phone on. So they automatically, if something happens, they call every morning, just say hi, and you say hi and whatever. As long as they hear your voice, they're all set. But if they don't hear your voice, you don't answer the phone, they'll someone to send the police or fire to do a well-being check. So you're not laying on the floor for 3 days before somebody finds you.
So, what did this group just detect in what Kevin said? What came up in what Kevin said?
The senior center does a presentation by the sheriff's department
Yeah.
on all those different aspects.
Kevin came up with another idea. Do you know how long it would take us to do that here in Norfolk? I mean, we could figure it out in 15 minutes. Could we not?
Good.
With just the people that are around the room? Just with the people that are right here, we can do that.
But you can't do it now.
What's that? Are we doing it now? Good.
Yeah.
Good.
To the sheriff, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Who is?
Another example of an idea. Who's sharing next? Who would like to share? The floor is open. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I missed that last point. You say we're already doing that?
Yeah, who's doing it? The sheriff.
The sheriff's
County
department has a program that goes through lockbox, goes through, you put yourself on the call list. There's about 3 or 4 things, isn't there, Donna, that they do that you can sign up for and have done. And I was supporting Jay and saying, the senior center does have a lot of informational things that, I know things is not
It's still the fire department.
but informational things that they.
Chief Kinney will come over and do it.
And they do have a newsletter.
Oh, I know, I get the news.
Okay, so.
Okay, so let's keep sharing. Who's up next for sharing? I'm always listening. Who's sharing next?
So I had
John
a
Davies.
similar concern to others. I love this town. Will I be able to stay in this town? Will I financially be able to stay in the house I'm in? And will I be able to live there when I get even older? Same concerns as many, for sure.
John, thank you for sharing.
No worries.
Thank you for sharing. We still have time for sharing.
Well, I think I'm the same way you were, you and a number of us are, is want to live here as long as we can, and don't want to do assisted living, don't want to use the help to get to assisted living, want to use the help to stay here. And again, the finance person in me is doing inputs, outputs. I want to see the demographics by percent. What services do they use? Which ones go for everybody? Which ones only go for certain groups? And I think that's what we can do, is be a force to say, okay, I'm for contributing to the community, but we need to get some other things in return so that we can afford to stay here because we love it.
These comments are all fantastic. They're all well thought out. They're all articulately presented. What's not to like, right? What's not to like? Anybody else? We still have some more time if anybody's like to share. I will just tell you right now, I am so impressed with what has been discussed in this room today. We're a very small group. You know how many more of us there are out there that didn't come today, and how much power there is in that group? I'm really impressed. I'm really impressed. We still have time for sharing, and it could be, it doesn't have to be on the agenda. Does anybody want to share a comment or a question or concern? We have a scribe. Melissa, go.
Lynn, right? Lynn's mentioned a couple times the demographic data by age group. We do have that in the master plan document, so if at a future meeting you wanted to dig into that, go into what services go to which groups of people, I can...
That's what I'm looking for. It's like an IO. Okay, this is how much the 30%, how much does that contribute in terms of revenue to the town, and how much expenses does it incur? You know what I mean? And I think it should be from every group to do a return on investment. Yeah, and so it sort of ties in with Kevin's a little bit of thinking is, man, it's a weighted. The folks that get the most from it should be paying a little bit more, while the other ones that aren't. You know, so something like that.
Yeah,
But
find a
that's what I'm
creative
not
solution.
seeing. I'm not seeing a return on investment analysis for the town.
Yeah,
That's all
that
I'm
makes
saying.
sense.
Just about planning, it seems like, I think generally it's agreed that the residents bear the most of the tax burden in this town.
92%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's it, 92%, which is a lot. And I get frustrated when there's, when there's talk about town zoning and planning, and every idea I read, when I read on the Norfolk Community Facebook page, the topic comes up, every idea someone has, it gets shot down. Every idea I've thought of, shot down. And for all I know, these are legitimate reasons. Oh, we don't have the sewer system in town, so we can't have businesses. Oh, because so-and-so owns that lot and they won't ever sell it because blah, blah, blah. And it just like, it makes me want to scream, frankly, because I feel like every idea, every suggestion, why didn't we try this? How could we could do this, we could do that. No, 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 no. And I mean, the town will die that way. There's got to be some shift.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And there is a shift, if you don't mind, if I could, is that okay?
Melissa, go.
There has been a shift. I mean, I've only been in town 7 years.
Me too.
When I talk to folks that have been here for a long time, they have historical knowledge that's very helpful for me. And so they'll say, oh, like the sign bylaw, the business sign bylaw, that was updated. But it was thinking differently about it because it had been brought up several times before, is my understanding, and nobody ever showed visuals of what they meant, right? So in your mind, you're going to go to worst case scenario, which is like Norfolk's turning into the Las Vegas Strip. And really what we were talking about is little signs that just happen to have white lights, right? So it was more about looking at it differently and then bringing it to the town and saying, this is for small businesses. It's not for the town. It's not for municipal buildings. The Small Business Association came to the planning board and said, please help us. We've done a SWOT analysis for our buildings. Our signage is a problem. Is there a happy medium? So we're not doing these big flashing lights, but can we just have a little bit of light? And so we worked with them for almost a year on that to get, because you only have 2 town meetings per year and it has to go in front of town meeting, any zoning change, even if it's a typo that you want to get updated, by the way, I found that out. But yeah, so I think when you have new people looking at it, that helps. When you're looking at how it was done before and not doing it the same way going forward, that can be helpful. So we've been making progress. But I notice when I read the community page, I see people that have been in town for a long time, that have historical knowledge, that have not talked to the people that own these pieces of land right here in a very long time, if ever. It's rumors, right? So you'll hear, oh, it's the septic, or yeah, it would be great if we had town septic.
It'd be nice to
Because like she was saying, a lot of the stuff you read on it isn't fact-based. It's someone's opinion, oh, this can't be done, or that can't be done.
And I come away just feeling like
defeated.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, we're making progress.
That row of stores that's just empty on Main Street. And it's, why? That's like potential for, helping carry the taxes or diversifying who's carrying the taxes. Heirloom New England, lovely little store. That sign, I can't even read it.
No, I know.
If I can break in a second, I want to do 2 things. I want to tag on to Ann's excellent comment, and I want to tie it into what Kevin said. Those of you who know me and get to know me, we know I'm pretty good at making connections. What I used to do Northeastern, I used to chase cyber crooks, okay? That was most of what I did. I used to catch them too, and then we would go to court of law, and then I would testify, they go to jail. And did everybody hear what Ann said? All she heard was no, there's a reason we can't do this, there's a reason we can't do that. Then Kevin, with his perceptive comment, it's opinions, it's not facts. If in this group we come up with 5 things that we want to say that are fact-based and 5 things that we insist on, and it has Norfolk Senior strong at the top, it's not opinion. It's fact. What I'm trying to do, one of the things I want to do in this group is synergize every feeling that Ann came up with. I want to synergize it with Kevin talked about facts. Let's bring that together. Let's decide how we as a group want to represent that. And let's assert that.
Myth, fact, myth, fact.
Let's go before town boards, let's go before town committees, and let's assert our power, let's assert our influence, let's assert our ideas, right? Let's do that. And it drives directly to what Ann talked about. It drives directly to what Kevin talked about.
Yeah. Or invite us here. I mean, Kevin can speak to a lot of things. I can as well if we have a certain slot where we have, information prepared and you can ask questions. And not to say that the information that's on the community page is not fact. Maybe it was at some point.
Some of it's fact,
but it's
and you don't
dated.
know which is.
Yeah, it's just something somebody heard over.
And in this group, what we're going to do in this group, one of the things that I'm going to try to influence the group to do, I can't make the group do this, but we're going to tease out the crap from the facts. Let's come up with facts, because when I worked at Northeastern and I wanted $26 million to do a project, if I didn't bring facts to my boss, he would have launched me on Huntington Avenue and been run over by a Green Line train, right? So you got to bring facts. You have to bring facts. We're going to do that in this group. We will do that. We will absolutely do that. And thank you, Kevin, thank you. Critically important comments. And by the way, I just want to tag another thing onto Ann. When I tried to start this group, there were people that told me no. They said I was too authoritarian. It would never work. What are you trying to do here? Are you trying to shake things up? Am I trying to shake things up? I don't think so. What I'm trying to do is bring people together, right? But I know exactly how it feels to be told no. And you know what I said when people told me no? Watch me. Here we are. We're here. More sharing. Who wants to share? We're drawing down into our last half an hour. We need to be out of here at 4. I don't hear sharing. But that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. So what we're going to do now, if it's okay with the group, we're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up for today, and allow me to do that. Couple things. Today, we started to know each other. Do we know each other yet? No. I know some of the people in this room very well, because I've lived beside them for 30 years. I have tea with one of them every week, right? So we started to know each other. We already infected Millis. Our idea is already on its way to Millis, right? Kevin came up with ideas. Jay came up with ideas. We had ideas all over the room. And these, what we said today in terms of ideas, it's all going to be scribed down. It'll all get distilled. And I'm going to share it so that, we can all see it. Let's see the results of what we did today, okay? So we started to know each other. So we already have, I booked us this room for March 8th, which is a Saturday from 2 to 3:30 p.m. if we want to have a second meeting. I'm not saying we have to have a second meeting. I'd like to have a second meeting. And when I would like you to like to have a second meeting, okay? So this room's booked, okay? We're ready to go. So we're going to come back. And when we come back next time, all that was said today will be distilled and published, so everybody knows what was said, okay? And if people have ideas for how to structure an agenda for our next meeting, please share them. Our email address is on the color postcard. Does everybody have a color postcard? Do not leave this room without a color postcard today. They cost me a fortune. I want you to have them, okay? And take a couple and give them to your friends who didn't come today, okay? So email your agenda. Email the things you want to talk about. I'll put it on the agenda. Unless it's illegal or immoral, then I'm not doing that, okay? But let's generate some ideas for our next meeting. Let's come together again. And let's do this another time. Let's do it again. I detect energy in this room. And by the way, I'm an optimist. You can probably tell that already. I survived cancer. I've got a tumor in my spine that is about this big, okay? And I'm here. And there's nothing special about me. If I can do this work, anybody can do this work. I'm not special. So let's come together again on March 8th. Is everybody on the Facebook page who has access to technology? How many have access to our Facebook page? Stick your hand in the air, I want to see them. Okay. Question, if anybody in the room needs an accommodation, and when I say accommodation, I mean visual impairment or mobility problems, any type of accommodation, please see me when we adjourn today, and I will work as hard as I can to get that accommodation for you, because we need our space to be welcoming to everybody. Everybody needs to know that they can contribute and participate regardless of whatever accommodation they might need. It's all about inclusion. It's all about welcome, okay? So let's come back together again on March 8th. Let's do this again. Do not let the fire of this meeting go out. Don't let that go out, because if it goes out, it's over. This group will not survive. And I want to hold our group out to be the one group that kind of grows and morphs. And I want Millis, I want the fire to start in Millis. I want Millis to do this. If I hear that Millis did this, it'd be one of the happiest days of my life. Okay, any final comments? Would anybody like to share an impression of what they heard today, an impression of what they saw today? Anybody, you can say anything.
Thanks for all your hard work, Glenn.
You bet.
Thanks for the 180 hours you put in.
You bet.
Some not so nice people on Facebook.
I've got a big heart, and I'm on the verge of tears, and I'm trying not to cry. I have a lot to cry about, but I'm not going to do it. But I care about every one of the people in this room, and I care about our entire community. And I'm 70. I don't know how many more years I have left, but however many years those are, I'm going to make them in service to the people I care about. And that's what I'm going to commit to this group today. And I want you to spread the word about what we did today. Tell everybody. And I'll see you together, all of us, on March 8th. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.